Hello and welcome to our special 2025 Easter edition of the Salt and Light Hour. I'm Deacon Pedro. How are you? I don't think I ever get to ask you that. How are you? I pray that you are well and that this Lenten season has been good and fruitful. A friend of mine recently told me that Lent for him was a bit difficult. And I guess that's kind of the point. I hope that your Lent has been a little difficult, but good. I hope that it was a time when you thought less of yourself and more of others, when you prayed more for those who are not as fortunate as you are, when you gave more and maybe that meant that you were a little tired, a little hungry, maybe even a little cold. But I pray that you had time to reflect on what it means to lovingly suffer a little for others and in union with Christ's suffering. That suffering that is redemptive. So yes, a good and fruitful Lent that brought you a little closer to Jesus. If you're listening to our program on the Catholic channel on Sirius XM radio, you may be listening to us on Saturday, and I hope that you're okay if we start anticipating Easter a bit earlier this weekend. Maybe you're preparing for the Easter Vigil tonight. Maybe you're already preparing for an Easter gathering. I hope that it's okay that we join you for this hour together as we begin to celebrate Christ's resurrection. Today, as we do every year, we are joined by our contributors, Gillian Kantor with What I Learned from My Kids, Mark Matthews with What's Good in Hollywood, and Sister Marie Paul Curley with Windows to the Soul. First off, Gillian will tell us what she learned from her kids during Lent, and then Mark Matthews tells us what he learned from recently being in the Holy Land. In our second half hour, Sister Marie Paul Curley will be joining us to give us the windows to the soul to an unexpected animated film. And I'm very excited that our featured artist for this Easter special is someone who is well known by all our Latino listeners. Her name is Athenas. She is probably one of the most well-known Latin American Catholic worship leaders. Athenas, who is from Argentina, moved to the United States a few years ago, and I'm so happy that she will be joining us today, and that means that we'll also be able to play some of her music throughout the program. So, turn up the volume and continue what you're doing, or sit back and relax and enjoy this next hour. If you're not able to listen to the whole program right now, remember that you can listen to all Salt and Light Hour programs at slmedia.org/podcast. You can also subscribe to the Salt and Light Hour on Spotify, Apple, or YouTube Music, wherever you get your pods. You can also listen to our show on the new Salt and Light Plus app. You can download that for free at your favorite app store. Okay, so enough talking. Let's start with some music. Here's Athenas with her single, Mother Mary.
Mother Mary, I want to walk by your side, 'cause you are my mother, you are my guide. You have always been my greatest model of humility and purity. Quiero caminar contigo, María, no solo un momento, todos los días.
That was Athenas with Mother Mary, and we're going to be speaking with Argentinian singer-songwriter and worship leader Athenas at the end of the program, so I hope that you'll still be around for that. I'm Deacon Pedro, and this is a special Easter edition of the Salt and Light Hour. Learn more about Salt and Light Media at slmedia.org. And now it's time for What I Learned from My Kids with Gillian Kantor. Gillian, welcome. Happy early Easter,
Yeah,
or
I think
early
we do this
happy
every single
Easter?
Easter and every single
We
Christmas.
do.
And every moment
We do.
we sign in and we start recording, and I'm like, wait, is it Easter? Can I say it?
I always think, it's Easter in Rome, probably, or the Easter Vigil already started somewhere.
Well, it's 5:00 somewhere. So it's Easter somewhere.
Happy anticipated Easter.
Yes, we're living in joyful anticipation right now. So
Joyful anticipation, and we're gonna joyfully anticipate your lesson for the day. Something you've learned from your children.
yeah, I'm going to start by reading a little line that may sound like it comes from one of my journals, and it goes like this. And the people became impatient on the way. In fact, I did not write that. That's from Numbers, and it is actually from the story of Moses leading his people out of Egypt toward the promised land. But doesn't that sound like a mom wrote that? And she could be talking about her children. She could also be talking about herself.
Yeah, I am picturing the station wagon personally.
Grew impatient along the way. So when have we not heard this kind of complaint? And it could be on, like you said, station wagon, could be on the car trip, could be the process of learning something, could be the countdown to something. But for our daughter Jane, it was waiting for her birthday. It could not come fast enough. And maybe the countdown was particularly long for her because it was a Lenten birthday. So she was already not having desserts or treats. And so for crying out loud, would her birthday just get here already so that she can eat cake, open gifts, and just celebrate? So every morning we were getting the countdown. Did you know it's 9 days to my birthday? Did you know it's 7 days to my birthday? Yes, Jane, I remember. I was there. I remember it all well. But yes, so Jane definitely is impatient along the way. So we'll hold her up as the Class A, Exhibit A example of impatience. But so am I. And if I can be so bold, and I hope not rude, Deacon Pedro, so have you, right? Like, that is human nature. It's everyone in the entire world. We have all, at some point, grown impatient along the way. So let's dive into that. Let's ask some questions about that. And they are, what journey are you on? Where are you going that you're so impatient about getting to? What is the goal? And what is a goal if it isn't in some way or form new life, right? Whatever the goal, whatever it is you're working towards, it does wrap itself around some form of difference or newness, maybe. We could talk about that. And what was it that made you so anxious that you wanted to speed it along? And then what would you have missed if you, in fact, had sped it along? What would you have missed out on? So the obvious way that we can consider here is Lent. It's what we have just journeyed through. We have all gone along this way. And the question that I wonder and ponder every single Lent is, why is this so hard? It is not because the thing that I have decided to sacrifice was so monumental that it is just destroying my life. It never is. It never is. And no matter how much I try or think, I should do more or I should do something differently, never the thing that I take on is it so life-changing that I should feel this different. But Lent does carry a different weight to it. Am I right? Or is that just me? Am I putting too much pressure on my liturgical season?
No, I'm just silent because my mind is spinning with the profoundness of your lesson today.
Thank you.
No, I'm serious.
But there is a weight to these days. Like there's
yes,
you feel muddled, or it's a fogginess or something. And maybe it is because we feel like we can't live to the full potential of our lives because of the season. And then I also wonder, this is a whole train of thought one day when I was vacuuming, if you will.
Okay, good.
The noise of the vacuum, the thought of inside my brains, it was just, anyway. I wonder if the journey of Lent is extra difficult because you already know the end of the story, right? Like, we are an Easter people. We know where this is going. We know that Jesus died but rose again to save us all from our sins and to open up the gates of heaven for all of us. Amen and alleluia. The best story ever told, the biggest celebration there could ever be. So we know that truth and that reality and the brilliance of it, but we're plucked from that and we're asked to pretend that it hasn't happened yet and that we need to sit in the sin and the stink of our lives and just be in the dark for a while to that glorious reality. So when you already know it, when you already know the truth and the celebration, the love and the life, it's extra hard to go back. When you already know the joy of a birthday celebration, like Jane, like she's going to get cake, she's going to have presents, it's going to be awesome, but she's not there yet, you grow impatient along the way because you know the good, but you just can't have it yet. So among the sin and the stink, there's also that impatience. Like, we just want to get there already. But there was also that question I asked before, like, what if we did speed it up, if we were allowed to do that and skip over this part, what would we miss out on? What can we learn from this moment of being impatient? And I think, well, now here we are on the cusp of Easter and the celebrating that's going to be happening, and we get to live back in that reality. Is it worth considering? Because we'll probably just forget this by next year. We'll forget what the point of this impatient was what the point of the impatience was by the time we reach Lent of next year. But there will be other journeys that we're on, and there will be more moments of impatience. So I say, let's learn from that sacrifice and that suffering, because it's what makes the story and the celebration extra grand. When I was thinking about this, I was just trying to imagine, like, what if we didn't know? What if we didn't know that there would be a finite end to this, that after 40 days it was going to be done? What if it just kept on going? And that's just our Lenten experience. For many other people who are experiencing any sort of tragedy, any sort of illness, and they don't know the timeline, how can they, and they probably experience those moments as well. They have those moments of impatience without knowing the end of the story. What do they do with that? How can they continue on? What sort of reassurance is there? And I think the answer lies in a crucial decision point for all of us, is if we are going to be who we say we are, Christian people who live with Jesus at their core and at their center, and this is probably where I will get emotional, then we can't just live in the glory days of Jesus's resurrection. We have to live that journey with him to the cross. We have to suffer with him. And I know this is not a new concept. And I know there's been many homilies preached on this and many way more eloquent speeches given on this. Not that this is a speech by any means, but the expression of what I'm saying is not new. But it is, every time you hear it and learn it and experience it and relearn it, it is profound, because living the Christian life is not just the glory. Living the Christian life is living with Jesus through his sin through our sin and his suffering for our sin. So, it's the impatience is important. To be impatient, it's because we don't want to be there anymore, right? We don't want to be in that sin and that suffering, but we can't speed through it because we need to live this reality of what Jesus went through. So the journey has to continue. The journey must continue in order for us to reach that goal, that new life that I had mentioned before. And it's not just the new life that Jesus promises and opens up for us in heaven, but it is the new life of who we're becoming here and how we're bringing that kingdom of heaven, just a little piece of it here, in our renewed selves, in our improved journey with Jesus, in a deeper relationship with him. So, who wants to sit in the sin and the stink? And I know I've said that a few times, but I work with alliteration. It's what stays in my brain. But who wants to sit in the sin and the stink? But it's what is necessary in order to revel in the goodness and the glory. Absolutely.
Thank you. I felt that this was just for me and nobody else. Okay. You were just speaking to me today, and especially with I've been learning over the last couple of years, particularly that patient endurance and there's patience and there's endurance that are not necessarily the same thing. But I'd never really thought about the things that I would have missed had the outcome come sooner. And so I'm going to have to take that with me over the Easter season and reflect on that. So thank you, and thank
Jane.
Thank Jane. Thank Jane, and
her birthday did come, by the way, and she did celebrate.
It did
and
come,
it was
yes,
great.
and she can start counting for next year.
Oh, good! I will look forward to that update.
The countdown
every day.
will start every day, and if I remember correctly, you have your family has several Lenten birthdays usually that happen during the Lenten season.
My birthday will always be in Lent. Sometimes David's is, sometimes Jane's is, and then there's grandparents too. But
absolutely, so but an important lesson and important virtue, patience, if I should say.
It's a frustrating
thank
virtue,
you, Jill.
Yes.
Yeah, a little frustrating for me too. Anyway, thank you again, and happy Easter.
Thank you. Same
Enjoy.
to you. Celebrate.
Yeah. Celebrate. Amen. Alleluia. Gillian Kantor is the wife of David and the mother of Joseph, Henry, Annie, Clara, Jane, and Leo. Coming up, a featured conversation with Argentinian singer-songwriter and worship leader Athenas, so don't go anywhere.
I'm Sister Marie Paul Curley of the Daughters of St. Paul, and you're listening to the Salt and Light Hour with Deacon Pedro.
You're listening to a special Easter edition of the Salt and Light Hour. The best place to listen to this program is on our Salt and Light Plus app. Download it for free and take the show wherever you go. Now it's time for What's Good in Hollywood with our Hollywood undercover missionary, Mark Matthews. Mark.
Hello, welcome. Pedro. Pleasure to be here.
Anticipated Easter. Happy Easter to you.
Yeah, that's true. Happy pre-Easter to you as well.
Happy pre-Easter. We're all eager here, dying to learn about your Holy Land experience.
Ah, yes. I am not the Hollywood undercover Hollywood undercover missionary, but I am the Holy Land undercover missionary.
Yes, I like that. Holy Land, Holy Land, Hollywood.
Well, there is a connection that Hollywood originally comes from Holy Wood of the Cross. So it's a Christian name, believe it or not.
Absolutely. So Holy Land, Hollywood. Absolutely. Yeah. So
how was it?
How was it?
It was amazing. I can't recommend anyone. I can't recommend enough for anyone to go to the Holy Land. So many amazing experiences. One of my highlights, I stayed at a place called the Ecce Homo Convent. And it is called the Ecce Homo Convent because in the basement is something called the Lithostrotos, which I think it means like paved ground. It is the original Roman pavement where Pilate paraded Christ before the crowds and said, Ecce Homo, or behold the man.
Yeah.
And that's a stunning thought to just be there and you can stand on the ground and you can be like, this is where Pilate literally paraded Jesus in front of the crowd and they condemned him.
Wow.
And some crazy things. There's something called the Game of Kings that the soldiers would play, and apparently there's a lot of examples of this. But etched into the pavement is like a kind of a playing board for this, where the soldiers would take turns, and at the end of each turn, the winner got to choose how to torture the prisoner that was eventually going to be executed. Like it's morbid, but apparently this is like well documented. It was during the Feast of Saturnalia kind of a thing. And some of the tortures involved dressing him up like a king and mocking him. Like I didn't know there was like other sort of archaeological historical evidence for this whole thing. And I'm just like, wow, that's just
interesting.
So amazing. And so it's really unbelievable to stand there and look at it. Yeah. And so what's interesting is that like previous years, I've kind of talked about how the passion in the Gospels is kind of almost like a play. And, we dramatize it and we perform it as a play, which is a wonderful thing to bring you into the moment. But there's a bit of a risk sometimes in that there's kind of like this doubt then in our mind that thinks of the story as, it's like something in Lord of the Rings. It's in a mythical faraway land that we'll never visit. And so when you actually set foot in it, there's a part of you that goes, oh my goodness, wow, this place was real. Yeah. And that naturally leads to, oh, Jesus was real.
Mhm.
And so
Yeah.
so this is why the church has sort of like upheld this idea of like visiting the Holy Land is a very good
Mhm.
thing. And I got to go to Gethsemane, and there's an olive tree in Gethsemane that's like 900 years
Yes.
old, and it's like, okay, well, it's not 2,000 years old, but that's still pretty
That-
cool.
yeah, it is pretty cool.
You can see the Kidron Valley, and then it's like a whole other story, but I got locked into Caesarea. Isn't that crazy?
That's okay. Do we have time for another story?
Sure.
Yeah, do it.
So,
What happened in Caesarea? Okay.
Okay, so I rented a car. I go to the ancient ruins of Caesarea, and I look at the sign, and it says open from 8 p.m. Open from 4 p.m. to 8 a.m. And I got there at 4:45 p.m. And I'm like, okay, that's kind of interesting that they roll like this, like they only keep it open at night, but it's 4:45 p.m. So it's open. So I go there. It's a beautiful sunset. The sea is crashing. I sit on the ruins of the king's castle, where reading the chapters of Acts, where Saint Paul defends the faith, literally in the same castle.
Yeah.
So again, it's this thing of like, oh my goodness, like I'm actually standing on the spot where Saint Paul did this. And so you keep wandering on the ruins, and you can see where Saint Paul was locked in prison. And then it dawns on me when I'm at the furthest possible place in the ruins that it's written in Hebrew, and Hebrew is backwards. So it actually meant that it really is only open from 8 a.m. to 4 p.m.
Okay.
Yeah. So
And what time is it now?
It was like 6:30 by this point. Yeah. And so I rush back, and sure enough, like it's this big iron gate, and there's this big fat lock on the door. And so I just had to kind of like laugh. Like I'm just like, oh, clearly God has a sense of humor, because now I am locked into the exact same place where St. Paul was locked in.
Mhm.
And I'm
That's
like,
good.
I feel the honor. I'm clearly not worthy of it. So
Okay, but you got out because you're not still there. Did you spend the
out,
night?
yeah.
Okay.
No. Someone suggested that. And I'm like, oh, that would have been pretty cool, but I would have been worried about my car getting towed.
Yeah.
I had a car rental, so basically, I just walked along the wall there, and eventually found a place that I could scale and a fence I could jump over.
So you had to jump the fence. Nobody let you out.
I had to jump a fence.
Oh
yeah, and I
my
was totally
gosh, that's
expecting security
hilarious.
guards to like come after me.
Wow.
It was just like, nope, whatever, nothing. So then I just walked back to my car. So
Okay. That's a fun experience. Okay.
yeah, that was kind of a cool experience. So go to the Holy Land. God will bless you with cool things like that.
Cool things like that. Not quite Hollywood, right?
Not quite Hollywood. So there is actually a bit of an interesting Hollywood connection. So besides being the Holy Wood of the Cross,
Yes.
is that if you're driving along the Hollywood freeway, you'll see this big cross on the east side, or like kind of on the left as you're driving into downtown Hollywood.
Mm-hmm.
And apparently there was a playwright by the name of Christine Weatherhill Stevenson saw the area there and said, this would be a fantastic area for a passion play. It looks just like the Holy Land. And so long story short, she founded a theater. They eventually built a facade to this theater that looked like the entrance to the old city Jerusalem. And so I can confirm it certainly looks like that. And they said this land looks like the Holy Land. And so for 44 years, I think from 1920 to 1964, they performed the Passion Play there.
Wow.
And yeah, and so what's kind of sad is she somehow bequeathed the land. It was covenanted to perform the Passion Play in perpetuity. Someone deeded the land to the county of LA, and then someone said, "Hey, this is public lands. You can't do a religious performance." And so a lawsuit, in 1964 shut it down. So that kind of breaks my heart. So pray that maybe the Passion Play will get to be recreated there again or performed again someday. So
well, all we need is a local resident who just returned from the Holy Land to maybe be inspired.
I'm feeling convicted.
To how hard is it to put together a Passion Play? Come on,
it's not that hard to fight, the system, and
whatever.
You can't fight City Hall.
Yeah, well, no, but I'm sure you can find, a Hollywood Hill somewhere where you could.
It's true, and I found a lot of similarities in like the climate and the terrain
Interesting,
between
yeah.
LA and the Holy Land.
And
So
the Holy
it's kind of the
Land.
perfect place for it. So really, it's the kind of thing we really should be doing here. So, early Angelinos were holy enough or believed it important enough to do it.
Well,
So
yeah, for
and-
sure.
and they employed like the best actors. They found took their full dramatic
you're
skills.
in Hollywood. Yeah, I'm sure that if you did this in Hollywood, you would get some of great actors to come out and participate. I'm so happy that you had a good time in the Holy Land, getting locked into ruins, which is just bizarre in itself. But now we know that if we go to Caesarea, nobody cares that you're still in there after 4:45.
That's right.
So if
The
anybody wants to
secret's
spend the
out.
night. Anybody wants to spend the night in the ruins there? Mark Matthews, our ruined undercover
Ruined.
missionary, ruined. Anyway, thank you for
Undercover
sharing.
prisoner.
Undercover prisoner. I like that.
Yeah.
Very good. Good. Lots of opportunities for evangelization right there. Missioning. Thank you for sharing your story. I hope to hear more, and I want to know all about the food and all of that. So hopefully another time we can tell some more stories about your Holy Land adventures. So thank you,
We'll talk about
Mark.
hummus.
We'll talk about hummus. Happy Easter, and
Happy Easter.
We'll talk to you soon.
All right. God bless.
What's good in Hollywood? What's good in the Holy Land with Mark Matthews, our undercover Holy Land missionary. You can follow him at HU Missionary. Coming up in our second half hour, Sister Marie Paul Curley with the windows to the soul to an unexpected animated film and a featured chat with Argentinian singer-songwriter and worship leader Athenas. So don't go anywhere. Welcome to the Salt and Light Hour Easter Edition Part 2. I'm Deacon Pedro. Here now is Athenas with her single Vive Jesus, which translates to Jesus Lives.
Vive Jesús, el Señor. Vive Jesús, el Señor. Vive Jesús, el Señor. Vive Jesús, el Señor. Él vive, vive, Él vive, vive, vive Jesús, el Señor. Él vive, vive, Él vive, vive.
We're listening to our featured artist Athenas with her single Vive Jesus or Jesus Lives. This is a special 2025 Easter edition of the Salt and Light Hour. I'm Deacon Pedro. And coming up, we are going to be speaking with Latin American worship leader Athenas. If you're not going to be around, you can listen to it later at slmedia.org/podcast. And now it's time for Windows to the Soul with Sister Marie Paul Curley. Sister Marie Paul, not too early to say Happy Easter.
No, I was actually just going to jump in and say Happy Easter to you and to all the
You
listeners.
too.
This is
Absolutely. So good to see you.
it's a blessing to have Holy Week and the Triduum and Easter. It's such a
Always,
powerful,
always.
powerful season for us.
Always, always. And I'm looking forward to this. Can I spoil it? It's an animated
Yes.
film that you want to talk about.
Yes, the film is The Wild Robot. And you know what? At first, I have to just apologize to the listeners who are not fond of animated films because I realize this is my second animated film in a row. But they both were Oscar nominees, and they're both like, honestly, in terms of the films
Absolutely.
made this year, we had a standout crowd of animated films that
Mm.
all that deserved Oscar nominations. So
Yeah, I think that if an animated film is a good film, it doesn't matter that it's animated.
yeah, it's a good
Yeah,
story. It's a great
it's a good
story.
story. Yeah, that's it. Story.
So this is called The Wild Robot. And I'm wondering, Deacon Pedro, if you have a favorite robot movie or a favorite movie
Well, yeah,
robot.
of course. No, yeah. Well, The Iron Giant for sure. I can
Mhm.
say that's probably one of my favorite films. And I was so sad that they've never done like a sequel because
Yeah.
I was waiting for part two. Wall-E,
Oh,
great little
okay.
Pixar movie about a robot.
Yes,
Oh my
Wall-E's
gosh,
great.
there's tons of. Can I say Star Wars? Can we say that
I was
Star
gonna
Wars
say,
is about
what happened
robots?
to R2D2? Like,
Yeah,
seriously,
and
isn't that
C-3PO. Yeah, he's like the best robot ever. So yeah, lots of good TV and film robots. Absolutely.
as a creative community, we are really good at humanizing robots in
Yes.
movies, and The
Yes.
Wild Robot is no exception.
Okay.
This film was widely regarded to win the Oscar for Best Animated Film, and while it lost to Flow, and I'm fine with that because Flow is a
Mhm.
great film, this could be a great choice for the family to watch together at Easter time because I can really see most, if not all, I never know if teenagers will enjoy films
Mhm.
for the whole family, but I can see most family members really enjoying this film
Okay.
together because it has a wide appeal. In a nutshell, The Wild Robot is this story of a robot,
Mhm.
Rosin Unit 7134, who is basically shipwrecked on an island that is wild.
Oh,
It's
okay.
just full of wildlife. And it is activated accidentally. The animals are curious. And so his on button goes on.
Yeah.
And basically, the purpose of this robot is to fulfill the tasks that it is given. And so it goes around asking for tasks. What tasks can I do for you? And of course, terrifies all the animals on the island. So Roz decides eventually to call herself Roz, and for short. And so she eventually shuts down to learn the languages of the animals on
Mhm.
the island, and then after several seasons, is able to start engaging with the animals and really communicate. So, unlike Flo, these animals talk
Okay.
very wittily, sometimes very unkindly, actually,
Hmm.
because they don't quite accept this robot as part of their island life. But what she eventually finds, and I'm using she on purpose because of the role that the robot takes on, what Roz eventually finds for a task is to raise a baby gosling and prepare it to migrate with the other geese.
Hmm.
Because its family has died in an accident that Roz is involved in. And so that's really the first half of the film is really about adapting to the island and engaging with this little gosling and learning really what motherhood is all about. And I have to say, in some ways, it's a very bleak picture of motherhood. And yet it's also extremely beautiful and moving, I think, for parents, especially to watch, but maybe even for kids to think about the kinds of sacrifices that moms make
Hmm.
when they're taking care of their young ones. So this film is charmingly voiced. So I've not given away much. If you've watched the trailer, you know about the geese.
Yeah.
But it's charmingly voiced by very well-known actors. It's got an engaging plot that's pretty unexpected in places. I mean, part of it you just kind of expect it to happen, and then it takes a turn, and you're like, oh, okay, now where are we going? It's really it shows the beauty of nature and of wildlife, but it also has some really powerful themes in it, maybe even more than Flow in some ways.
Hmm.
I know that the children's book, the author deliberately directed that book towards kindness towards others. That's a value that he wanted that book, that story to encapsulate. And that works very much in this film. But it's also about acceptance of those who are different. Having a purpose in life is very much in the fore. Motherhood, perseverance, and then, of course, the Easter themes of self-sacrifice and laying down one's life for others. I find it very compelling that the wild robot explores what is best in humanity without a single human being being present in the film, animated or not. So in the process of finding and fulfilling her task, Roz actually ends up in some ways overwriting her programming as a computer. And so what does that mean in terms of a metaphor for us who are trying to overwrite the programming of our culture or our sinful tendencies or the bad habits that we have? There's a lot of wealth in this film that you can really, I think, delve into. So I do think it's a very appropriate film for Holy Week, for Easter, and for the family. I think the children need to be old enough to understand what's going on. There are some danger. There's some danger. There's some robots that attack, and there are a few other things. But for the most part, it's just a delightful and very family-friendly film that I think can help us explore family as well as all those other themes that I mentioned.
Yeah, of course. Interesting. I love how you always find, I was going to say, the Easter windows to the soul of the film. And how self-sacrifice, I hate to say this, but that's a very common theme in movies. So that says something about our human nature, that's kind of what God has written into our hearts. And I love your comment that this robot learns about human nature without having humans around. Okay, so The Wild Robot, find it streaming. Great Easter movie for the whole family. How's that for a summary?
Great summary. Thank you. And really a blessed Easter to everybody. And
yes, you too.
You're all in my prayers.
You too. Thank you so much. Sister Marie Paul Curley with the Daughters of St. Paul. You can read her blog at windowstothesoul.wordpress.com, and you can follow her on X at Sister M. Paul.
Hi, I'm Mark Matthews, your Hollywood undercover missionary, and you're listening to the Salt and Light Hour with Deacon Pedro.
Athenas is a Catholic singer-songwriter from Argentina whose 2021 album Alpha y Omega was nominated for a Latin Grammy. Her YouTube channel has over 1 million subscribers, and her videos have been played more than 300 million times. Athenas, who was already known in Argentina, became known internationally after performing at World Youth Day 2013 in Rio. She was just 21 years old. Since then, she has released a total of 6 albums, the latest, a Christmas album, in 2022. Athenas co-writes all her music with her husband, musician Tobias Buteler, and I don't have to tell you that they make a great pair. Earlier this week, I had the chance to speak with Athenas, who told me about growing up in Argentina, about her music, her ministry, and about celebrating Easter. Athenas, welcome to the Salt and Light Hour. It's so good to meet you.
Same. Thank you. Thank you for having me.
It's a great pleasure, actually. I wanted to ask you a little bit about growing up. You grew up in Argentina. What was it like? Did you grow up in a Catholic family? Was it a musical family?
Yes, thank God my mom and my dad, they are practicing Catholics. So they shared with me the faith since I was a little girl. And yes, it was a musical family. My mom, she's like a worship leader in a way. So yeah, I grew up watching her, leading worship and playing guitar and singing. She sings very beautifully. And my dad, he also does it in another way. But yes, definitely music and Catholicism was there.
Okay, wow. And can I ask you about your name? It's not a very usual name.
Yes, it's my name. We need to ask them actually why they chose this kind of special or weird name.
Yes.
But of course, my dad, he loves philosophy.
Okay.
And Athens, it plays a big role in that. So Athenas,
yes,
is the goddess. So
okay.
that's why, in a way. But it's the name of a city, so that's it, you know.
Yes, of course. No, and it's definitely unique. Everybody knows who Atenas is.
Yeah.
Do you have any brothers or sisters?
I do. I have three siblings, Roman, Simon, and Galileo. I love my brothers. They are
Okay.
amazing. And we all share, the faith and everything. Of course, we live a little bit far away because I'm here in the US and they are from Argentina, but we talk pretty often and we love hanging out, with
Right.
each other. Yeah.
And are they musical as well, or are you the only one who inherited the musician
I,
gene?
I mean, definitely they do they sing beautifully as well, but they don't do it like professionally, but they yes, of course they do.
Yeah. As you know, this is our Easter special, our Easter program. So I wanted to ask you a little bit about what Easter was like growing up in your family.
Yeah. As my family, they are practicing Catholics. We try to go to I don't know how to say, the Triduo Pascual.
Yeah, the Triduum. Yeah, the
Yeah.
Triduum.
And when I was like a little girl, I need to confess that I didn't understand why we're going to mass every day, and it's like a little bit
Yes.
boring, but I was waiting for the chocolate. I need to be honest, on
Yeah, of
Sundays.
course.
But of course, it was a beautiful time. Now I understand, and yeah, we had the chance to go to the Friday, the Thursday celebration, and of course on Sunday was a very special day with a nice meal, and of course the chocolates, and I had this sense of celebration that now I understand what it was all about. But when you're a little kid, you just understand a little bit of it.
And is there anything that is maybe uniquely or traditionally Argentinian about Easter?
I'm not sure. I don't find something really special. Just a little bit of, we have this rosca de Pascua that we
Right, the
eat,
bread.
there's like a ring of cake. I
ring,
don't know how
yeah.
to translate
Yes.
that. And of course, the family in Argentina is a big thing. So we tend to do that a lot, and we get together and we celebrate together. So it has that beautiful thing that family is very, very important there. So I think that's the special thing about it.
Yeah, it is. I guess now that you're in the United States, that part must be difficult.
Oh yeah, it is. It is. Of course, that's something I miss. But of course, here in the US, they have other positive things that I enjoy a lot. And the liturgy here is beautiful.
Yes.
I enjoy that a lot. So yeah, it
Yes.
has its right side as well.
Now, when you were growing up, you said your mother was a worship leader. Did you at some point join her in worship? Like, how old were you when you started, I guess, dedicating your music?
No, I didn't. Because especially when I was like, I don't know, a little girl when I used to go with her a lot. But yes, I was involved in it, and I have a memory when I was like 5 years old, where they were like worshiping and doing prayers, and I felt like the love of God in such a big I don't know, big thing for me, that I have that memory in my heart, like and I was just 5 years old. So I
Wow.
didn't join her like singing, but I did in prayer in a way.
Right.
So that was really important for me. And then, I had my own path and everything. And
Right.
then I ended up with the worshiping thing. And of course, in Latin America, worship is a little bit different
Yes.
from here. She was in the charismatic renewal, so
Right.
it's a little bit different.
Yes,
And
of
then
course.
I found my own, style.
Yeah.
In a way. Yeah.
Of course, yeah. I grew up with a charismatic renewal in Panama as well, and
yeah.
I totally understand what you mean.
You understand me. Yeah, for
Completely,
sure.
completely. And in fact, I must say that coming to North America, that was a little bit of a challenge for me because I couldn't find. It was just the worship was not quite the same.
Exactly.
How old were you when you started writing your own music?
Well, I was 15 years old, because at that time was when I joined like a youth group, and I had my really strong experience of the love of God and salvation, and that He was calling me with a plan for my life. And that's when I discovered Him, like as a little bit a grown-up girl, and I had the chance to say yes, independently of what my parents taught me that was perfect. But you need to say it like from yourself, right? And that's when I discovered like more a contemporary worship style.
Right.
And that's when I decided, wow, this is amazing. This style is different. I really love it. It's really contemporary. It's like, it was culturally closer to me in a way. And that's when I
Yeah.
decided, wow, I want to, I actually, I felt I was called by the Lord, to start doing worship. So that's when
Interesting.
I started to worship. Yeah, and I was
So,
15. So I
so
was
you always so you always thought that you would be doing worship music. You never thought that you would be doing secular music.
No. Actually, before that, I actually participated in a reality show, and I won among with other 4 kids, and I toured and I did like secular music in a professional way as well. So
Right. Okay. So you
yeah,
had that
and
experience.
and I had like rock bands and another kind of bands, folklore, that is like kind of a traditional Argentinian music
Yep.
band. And after, all my experience when I was 15, I didn't know I was, you could do Catholic worship, professionally.
Right.
I thought I was going to just, ministry at church and, do that, and that's it, and I kept on, looking other ways of, being able to live for music, like musical theater or pop
Okay.
music. And I was still like a really practicing Catholic, but I didn't know I could do that professionally, because, there are not many people, especially in Latin America, that are able to do it.
Yes.
But then the Lord had another plan for me.
Absolutely. Tell me about World Youth Day in Rio 2013.
Yeah. Well, so a little bit before that, there was like this producer. He is amazing, Jonathan Narvaez. That we were in touch because we recorded things before. And he was like, hey, I see that you're walking with the Lord and you love music. And would you like to try and record some stuff? And there is this platform called YouTube that is starting, it's
Yeah.
been a long time already.
Yeah.
And he said, we can do some videos. Look, there are some YouTubers doing these like simple videos, but they are working really well. And so we started experimenting a little bit with that, and they went viral really, really quick. And that's when I got invited to a couple of places to start worshiping in other, states in Argentina, actually provinces. And a little bit after that, I was invited to the World Youth Day in Rio de Janeiro.
Yeah.
And that was like a really big thing for me, that, I felt the confirmation of the Lord that, yes, this is what I want you to do.
Yeah. Amazing. Yeah. And it's incredible. That was already 12, 13 years ago. And look at where you are now. I'm a little curious about the partnership you have with your husband, Tobias. I know he's a huge part of the ministry.
Yes.
He's a musician in his own right. How does that work? You guys working together?
Yes. Well, we work together 24/7. So we are all into this. And well, before getting married with Tobias, I was like, oh, I want to marry like a engineer, a doctor, something that has nothing to do with this,
Right.
Creative, hippie kind of, musical thing. I want, I'm gonna be maybe a mom, and and maybe I will do this like as a hobby, something that I enjoy, but not professionally.
Right.
And I was like that. And then I will not marry a musician, that's for sure, And what I ended up doing, I ended up a musician. He is training classical music, and we were like boyfriend and girlfriend. And first we didn't think about doing music together. He was doing worship music as well in his community, and then I had this adoration night that I have to go and serve, and we were like, hey, maybe we should play together and see how it goes, and it went really, really well. And then, hey, maybe we need to songwrite together, and we did it, and it went really, really good. And then we started recording, and and then we go, okay, we need to get married, and we got married like a year and a couple of months after.
Right.
We got boyfriend and girlfriend, and then we started touring together. And then he was in charge of the touring and all the producing stuff, and he was getting involved more and more. And then now he does more than I do. I just sing a little bit here and there.
Exactly.
And he takes care of everything, the social media
Oh,
a lot, and the streaming services, and oh, there is a lot behind it,
Yes, I can
And
imagine. Yeah.
yeah,
That's
so yeah, and then it was the plan of the Lord
I
that we
was
keep
gonna
on
say,
doing.
yeah, the Lord always has better plans than we do.
He does.
Yeah, Atenas, it's been really good to meet you. I was wondering, a lot of people look to your videos and your music, and they find inspiration. You're helping a lot of people find the Lord, and maybe for the Easter, for our listeners, is there anything you'd like them to know to help them? As they enter the Easter season, what would you like to tell them?
It's such a beautiful, beautiful time. To be just closer to the Lord, and not just. I was reflecting a lot this last couple of times. The things that happen in life, that we need to be close to Him, not just in the good times, but all, of course, especially when the cross is coming, right?
Mhm.
So now we are going to be able to just look at Him at the cross and see how He suffered for us. And that's part of life, and we can join Him at this time with Him, and not just with the good things and the bad things, or the bad things that we think they are bad, because in His plan everything is perfect and everything
Yes.
is good for the ones that love Him. Is that okay? I don't
That
know
is
if I
correct. Yes.
translate that.
All
Okay.
things work best for those who love him. Yes.
Amen. So everything, even the crosses, like He's going to face right now in a couple of days, that's good for us as well. So I think that's something that we need to, maybe sometimes think about a little bit more, because sometimes we complain and, we don't understand, but He did it as well. So we need to join Him.
Yes, that's a
And
beautiful
then
message.
we will resurrect with Him, right?
That's true, and that's the thing we have to remember. Beautiful message, and I'm sure a few people needed to hear that today, as they always do. Atenas, it's been a great pleasure meeting you. Thank you for all you've been doing, and maybe we can have you back on the program sometime soon. Happy
Oh,
Easter.
thank you so much. I would love to. Happy Easter to y'all.
That was a conversation I had with Argentinian singer-songwriter and worship leader Athenas. You can learn more about Athenas at her website, athenasmusica.com. You can also subscribe to her YouTube channel and follow her on your social media. Here now to take us out is Athenas with her single, Él te está llamando, which means He is calling you.
Hay alguien que te espera y que te está buscando. Oh, te ama desde siempre. Por amor Él te ha creado. Él tiene grandes planes, aunque no lo creas, aun si no quisieras contigo, quiere volverlo a intentar. Oh, Él quiere volverlo a intentar. Él te está llamando a la vida nueva, así como estás, a volver a empezar. Él te llama a la santidad. Él te está llamando a una vida plena. Si tú quieres cambiar y su luz abrazar, ven y canta conmigo ya. Derrama tu gracia en mí. Te diré que sí. Derrama tu gracia en mí. Haz tu obra en mí. Tal como eres, te recibe. Ya no mires el pasado, porque Él hace todo nuevo. En la cruz Él te ha comprado. Él tiene grandes planes, aunque no lo creas, aun si no quisieras contigo, quiere volverlo a intentar. Él quiere volverlo a intentar.
We're listening to Athenas with her single Él te está llamando, which means he is calling you. It's a really good song to do a little bit of Easter dancing. Remember to go to our website, slmedia.org, to listen to the Salt and Light Hour, to watch our TV programs, to learn all about us, and also to support what we do. Thank you to Gillian Kantor, Sister Marie Paul Curley, and Mark Matthews for joining me today. And thank you to Athenas for all she's doing and for reminding us that Jesus is calling us to new life. Just as we are, he calls us to begin again. He calls us all to holiness. He calls us to fullness of life. All we have to do is say yes, and he will pour his grace upon us. He will make us new. Don't ever forget that. This is my prayer for you this Easter. I'm Deacon Pedro, and thank you for being with us for this special Easter edition of the Salt and Light Hour.